Moving to oneness. Nourishing curiosity. Embracing differences. Becoming one.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Moving to Oneness podcast today. I'm your host Mylene, again sitting in Germany, having a wonderful evening. The times have quieted down a little bit. It's getting dark outside much earlier, which is a little difficult for me because I do love the sun. And today I'm going to get some sun for myself because I have a wonderful guest sitting in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they have so much sun. I was there and I remember that it's such a brightness that you have there, those clear skies and the clear air. So everyone, welcome with me, please. Kelly Alexander, how are you today?
I'm just great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Yeah, you are a fascinating woman. That was the reason I love to invite you to speak to all of us and have a conversation with me. You are a very multifaceted woman. And you don't, in my eyes, you go out into the world and do what you want to do. And it doesn't matter in what field you go, you're very courageous in exploring. You go out into the world and look how it is. And if you don't like it, you switch. You say, stop, I go a other direction. And maybe today during the conversation, speak a little bit about it, but everyone, that is really not the reason. Once I had figured out that she was in fashion, in the stock market, in tax, I mean, these things go so far apart if you would think about it. But this is the beauty of an rainbow, of an array of all these things that we can allow ourselves to do. We do not have to be just doing one thing. We can go in whatever direction you want. So give us 5 minutes about the tips, please, how someone can be courageous to go into whatever they desire, in whatever field.
Well, for me, it's a matter of curiosity. I have always wanted to understand and know and figure out things that didn't make sense to me and explore and experiment. Perhaps that was something that got embedded in me from my childhood. In our home, we were often doing creative projects around the house. I remember one time we were hanging wallpaper on the ceiling, which is unorthodox. My mother built a fish pond and a rock, structure by hand. I mean, just, ideas would come and then they would get executed. And it was just exhilarating to be part of and to watch. And I think that is part of, what shaped my life. But curiosity and a desire for knowledge and understanding, and it's those things. I didn't feel like I was being courageous. I was just moving towards, wow, what about that? And at Christmas, my beautiful grandmother gave me books on nature. And I used to love to just look at those pictures and read about it and see the intricacy of a spider web and, just all the different plant and animal kingdom and the landscapes. Wow, it just fascinated me. So I attribute it to curiosity and interest.
Yeah,
primarily.
that's fascinating. I mean, in the background, everyone, if you're listening on the podcast, if you have a moment, go check out the YouTube channel, Moving to Oneness, because behind Kelly, she chose a background which has huge windows, and you can see those trees. So, Kelly, yes, just that speaks many words. That you have a close connection to nature and probably are also very observant. And I know something a little bit more about you, and I would love for you to share it. You mentioned this curiosity of how things function, how what they bring for your life, how they may change you, or how you get to observe others, right? This is something that you've carried, and I'm wonderful to see that it was already embedded in your childhood. So everyone who has children, I think it's a beautiful thing. Now that many of us are at home more, take time to do creative not exercises, but creative things with your children.
Yeah.
Projects. Genau, right? So you can and do things that are not normal, you know. I love that what you just said, that you hung things down, wallpaper down of the ceiling. You changed scape. You looked what else is possible.
Yeah.
And this trait, what else is possible, you have really explored and fine-tuned at the end of your teens. And please share with everyone if you desire in whatever depths. But I think there was also a reason why you wanted to come on and share your vision for the world and come on as an inspiration for others. Please, Kelly, share
Yeah.
that
So
period with us.
at 19, to this day, I don't know how I contracted it, but I got that herpes simplex uh, uh, virus. It was the genital variety. It was horrific. I went to the doctor. He said to me, "This is the worst case I have ever seen. There's nothing that we can do about it. You're just going to have to allow it to run its course. And I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going to be plagued with episodes of this for the rest of your life." And so, I asked him, how, normally it's a sexually transmitted disease, but I wasn't having sex. So I don't know. I really don't know how I acquired it. So I went home. Like I said, it was brutally painful. I got to the point where I just went to the bathroom once a day because urinating was so, I would scream. It was so bad. And then, as he said, about 3 weeks went by and it ran its course and it stopped. And then about 6 months later, I felt just the beginning, early little itchy, twingy sensation in my body that, oh, looks like this is going to be, another episode. And prior to having, gotten this virus, I was friends with a fellow in high school, and he had shared with me this study that he and his family had been a part of for many years. It was a mystical study. It had to do with understanding man's relationship to the universe and, laws of physics and metaphysics and different things. And I told him, I want to join. I want to learn. I'm very curious about this subject. And in there was things about, the frequency of thoughts, and that there's a tiny little frequency associated with every thought, and that their perspective was a thought is a thing. It's minute, it's teeny tiny, and that line between energy and matter is very thin.
Mm-hmm.
But that was part of my early understanding of some of the awarenesses and abilities that we as humans have. This study had a whole segment on healing and so forth. So I remember walking to work with this twitchy feeling in my body, and I just this feeling, this wave of energy came around me, and I said, this is going to stop. And I took that little bit of information I was learning, and I started talking to the disease. And I said, you get out of this body now. You are not welcome here. You have no purpose here. And I just kept repeating those statements with absolute belief that I had the power to send it away. And I remember walking to my job, repeating it the whole walk. Every spare moment at work that day, I would repeat it again and repeat it again. And for about 2 days straight as possible, just with the realities of logistics, I just said these things over and over and over. And then that twitchy little feeling, it went away.
Wow.
It
So
never manifested. Yes, it never manifested into all those, lesions and sores and blisters. Nothing at all. And since then, I never have had an outbreak. I have never had a fear that I would have an outbreak. And it just poof, that was that.
You mentioned for a second you had that wave of energy, but you did hear before or read about and learned about that it's possible. So, and you probably felt the truth. But
Yes.
Tell more about the audience. What was this wave? Because just when you were also speaking, your words and your expression, your facial expressions, it was very determined. It was what I call, it's really a very precise intention. You knew exactly what the vision you're creating is for the boom. I mean, it had strength even now, 40 years later, when you speak those words almost, right? It's stuck. And tell people more why you did that and where did those sentences come from? Or...
It's difficult because it was the wave or that energy that came over me was very nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I said to myself, okay, Kelly, you're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and you're going to go from A to B to C. It wasn't connected to words. It was more connected to intuition and belief. And I just went with it. It's hard to talk about it because it was so wordless, kind of like in a dream. You get an impression or you see something and or as a young child, you don't have a vocabulary, but you feel it and you know it. Mm-hmm. That's how the experience was for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We don't really have a healing vocabulary. I believe that as well. So I speak a lot about for us to find vocabulary that fitting, especially that each individual does it for ourselves. Yeah, you do it for you, I do it for myself, and we do it together, right? And also so we can learn from each other, teach, explore, see how different words feel or the vibration behind the words, the experiences of those words. That becomes very difficult. And I think as we go also search more for those words, because I believe they do exist. The knowledge maybe has lost a bit. So everyone, tune your ears, tune your eyes. Where can you find old written things or other people that carry wisdom? Or what intuition do you get? Write it down and use those words. Shamanically, there are a lot of syllables that are spoken as well, or in other tribes or the religion, a lot of cultures have that we have some certain words, or like the ma is one that is in many languages the one for mother, and that's a very healing tone. Yeah, it just gives that. So also when you probably had your intention of healing, you let a certain energy flow. Did you feel also something when you spoke those words within your body, or was it too long ago to remember? Even when you were at work, did it do something to you during that time in those 48 hours?
I felt that I had a power, like something just came either in me or through me, and there was a power there, and I used it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to say it. Speaking about words, I'm having two opposing viewpoints on words and language. I notice in the animal world, animals are very sensitive, they're very attuned to their surroundings, they perceive in ways that are spectacular, that's normal for them, that's extraordinary for humans. And so there's a part of me that thinks some of our words and language actually interferes with our connection with the deeper reality on one hand, and yet words are very helpful, to articulate and share and express. So it's a paradox, but I think in our normal society, words can actually block our capacity to dial in and connect to these other energies that are more wordless. So finding a balance between that, I think, has been a lifelong process for myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're right. It's a lot of words carry trauma of an individual, of a culture, of a society, a social setting, of a society, maybe even a generation, right? And this is a really interesting topic. So if I look shamanic, right, there is the one sound. And that we have still very sacred languages that exist on Earth. For example, let's take the Hawaiian language, very beautiful. We in German, and depending on what dialect, we have lost some of the sacredness in our vocabulary. I think English too, but there are other languages that are still very sacred. Vocabulary is often developed by our environment. So environment, I mean landscape, right? You have, for example, South Africa, we have the clicking, the people that click. So it's very in tune with what their landscape setting was. And maybe we're not so in tune anymore. And the animals and nature, there is a certain, this one sound, they still sound it or sing it or tone it. Where we, in a way, because we do not live our natural state anymore or aware of what our natural state is, we are not so connected. We do fall in times, we fall in, when we, in a way, are totally open, we can click in and can hear it maybe. But I think we are moving toward that state now again, and extremely fast, that we become aware and start searching for ways to move back or forward, depends you want to call it, into the new times. It's ancient and it's new, right? In back into that state. So, but in the meantime, for me, it's important to observe what vocabulary do I speak, what words, and what intention is behind the words when I speak with someone. And that's this other thing you said, you spoke to the virus and said it's not its place, and to go, and you need to write it down one day and write a book about that and teach people. to have that conversation, so it listened to you. So what, that is very powerful, taking in your determination and saying, no, I'm the best medicine for my body, I'm the best medicine for myself, and I'm able to do this. And you observed it before in nature, saying, yes, if they all do it, I can do it. And I love that. And this is really what you're bringing us to see and observe, and encourage us to do exactly that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I learned something recently, that in the plant and animal kingdom, I mean, every form of life seeks its peak expression. And in plants and animals, there is a sort of an upper line and then a lower line. And the plants and animals exist between those two boundaries, so to speak. Like an oak tree at its peak is going to, be healthy and tall and strong and vigorous and all those things. Humans don't really have an upper or a lower level because of our consciousness and our ability to create. There's not a ceiling, and unfortunately there's not a floor. So that's, I think, what distinguishes us. And stepping away from the normal for human and realizing human can be so creative and extraordinary. It takes us just higher and higher and higher, and there really is no top limit. I mean, we've heard those things that we only use 5 to 7% of our brain capacity. And there's intuition, and there's some people are psychic, and I mean, there's facilities that are there that some people tap into more than others, and it's very individual. But I think in my case, I was just pushing the envelope.
Mm-hmm. And what do you use out? Because this is a very oh God, a really strong impact that has created a very strong impact in your life, a very strong point. So what does it feed nowadays in how you live? Right? Is there something that it always brings now into the presence that gave you a certain something that you still carry and utilize? Absolutely. Or even improve on it?
Sure. I'm always looking beyond, the status quo. Mm-hmm. The normal, traditional ways to approach, anything, whether it's diet. I became a vegetarian. At first I thought, well, that's weird. And then I started reading about it. I go, the human body has a 25-foot long intestines, and the natural meat-eating animals only have a 3 to 4 foot long intestine, so that the meat can move through that body quickly. When it goes through a body that has so much intestine, it starts to putrefy and become toxic, and then there's effects from that are not good. I go, wow. It that opened my eyes. So, and I'm not saying vegetarian is right for everyone, not at all. But so that's one thing that I, do. Just not accepting what's normal as this is it. This is as good as it gets.
So you look for possibilities for improvement, optimization, to discover what is not discovered yet. Oh, you're right. Like you were talking a lot about animals. Now science is slowly seeing, to animals is so much more than what we learned in school, for example, right? Mm-hmm. That they're so much more in tune, and we're giving also animals, plants, they can feel, right? When I was small, it was that they can't feel. Yeah, so many new things are happening, and you're right. It always to be curious, as I said to you before, for growth is important. What is coming up? You were saying,
Yes, you're triggering a memory. 8th grade science project.
yeah.
We were put into teams of 3 or 4 people, and they wanted us to do some kind of an experiment with plants. And my group chose an unorthodox experiment. We had 3 plants: the neutral plant, the loved plant, and the hated plant. And all we did was speak to the loved plant and the hated plant. We did not speak to the neutral plant. It was the, like the baseline. And we just talked to it. It's all we did. And we planted little zinnia seeds and watered them all the same. We waited for all of them to sprout to make sure every seed was viable. And that's when we started the experiment. And we just said great things to the loved plant. We said negative things to the other one. And the loved plant squirted out 4 leaves. The other one had 2 leaves. It gradually started turning yellow. And then it started to lean over, and it went all the way down until it was, parallel to the soil. And I choke up every time I tell this story, because we killed it with our words and our, the emotion that we directed toward it. And, they all got the same water, sunlight, soil, everything was the same. And so that was another thing. I was, I think 14 or 15 when that happened. So
yeah, so you really had an experience, and you really felt it. Where you were saying it leaned forward, into my head came the word make someone lenient, right? Or you make them obey. You make them lean down. Yeah, right. That we have in many vocabularies of I bet every language, or many, I should not say many languages, we have these expressions that still come from this very obedient time. And maybe not use those words anymore, to really say, oh, which words are we saying still from before? They were just like, when you say, you in English, you say you kill a bird with 2 stones or something. It's we have all these rough, warlike sayings we use in a normal day life now, even or business. Can we stop that, or transform them, find new ones? And if everyone, I don't know, Kelly, if you've read Emoto's work. And I met Emoto one time when I was living in Atlanta. He came and speak to some tribal members. There were several chiefs from Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina came together to walk the river, and together. And in Atlanta, before they walked down to the ocean from the spring, they started at the spring of the river all the way down to the ocean. And he spoke for 1 hour. And I mean, many people probably have seen the book and the images of how water crystals change depending what kind of music or what kind of words. The more beautiful, the more love, the more expressive a crystal is. There was something really interesting afterwards. So there was 1.5 hours. And then he spoke for 1 hour. He said his second topic he barely gets to speak about was, so every mother or future mother, please listen right now, or husband or of a mother one day, to please breastfeed your children. Because there the same thing is happening that just Kelly spoke about so intensely, the power of our own, how we can heal our own body. So through that milk that a mother is giving her child, first of all, it's all the love, wisdom, all the health and medicine that she lived through, antibodies she's giving her child. But also her history, her wisdom. There's so many things, right? And even both are every day they're together in certain experiences, and maybe some are traumatic, but the mother maybe works through it different and can give through breast milk so much more to her child. And I think that day, there was more, but it doesn't fit now. I was surprised. And he also asked everyone if there were any midwives in the room to please spread that and encourage women to do that as long as they can, as long as they feel comfortable, and not to let others take that gift from a mother to a child, the medicine from a mother to her child, away. So that's also coming from my heart. And you see what power is, and we make decisions to heal ourselves. So Kelly, you don't know that about me, but I have a cerebral palsy. I also learned so much about the brain functions. I went on, they told me I would be with 24 in the wheelchair at many things, that I couldn't do this, that, and blah, blah, blah. That I could not have a child. I got a child. I'm still not in the wheelchair. Yeah, maybe now a little rusty, maybe too much sitting, that's fault. But to do things that optimize my brain, going into meditation, connecting to nature, and being determined, I think that's maybe what attracted me to you, to get to know you better, is this determination to move myself into optimal vibration nonstop, so I can be more alert, I can have more fun. Yeah, I walk more upright. I do sleep a lot, but that's my lean, so she relaxes, so I can use, I'm more on one side. Yeah, so we have that power, everyone. When you believe in yourself, and Kelly, you believed in yourself, you believed also in something that you knew is possible. This is the other interesting thing, right? And you believed it, and you explored and went for it, as well as I mentioned all these other things you worked in, that you do now. You always believe in it and you go for it. So everyone, please use Kelly and me as an example or inspiration when you're sad, and say, no, those two wild ones can do it. I can do it. Right, Kelly? What would you give along to someone?
Absolutely. Yes, your intention and your will and your belief, when directed towards something so positive as living your fullest, healthiest, wisest life, what better way to direct that power that is there? And why not nurture it, and just keep fanning that flame of possibility? I think it's exciting. It's and what is there to lose?
I love that. Genau, nothing.
The worst, it's going to stay the same. That's the worst. And usually, I mean this whole for the last decade at least, the law of attraction, and this language that we're getting refamiliarized, that you said already have acknowledged as ancient knowledge, that's being brought back, it's powerful. And the more that we learn how to manage our thoughts and our body and our energy, and take dominion over those things, the more they will serve us. Our body is our temple. Well, treat it like one.
Yeah.
Revere it.
Yes.
The body is, designed, beyond really human fathomability of all the fabulous dimensions of a human body. It is a self-healing mechanism. We just want to get out of the way or assist it, when we can. But yeah, possibilities are enormous, and that's the first step.
Yeah, that's nice. And when I love that. It's a precious temple, and this temple is which is part of me, and it's part of my expression.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always it's coexisting. And do not neglect your body or think it is less than. Yeah, like we're being taught a lot about from some fields, it's less than. And I don't believe that. It is really a collaborate thing. So what you put in, right? That's how you sense. So observe your food, what you drink, what you don't drink, or what you shouldn't drink. You will know. Listen to your body. It will tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And movement, we're beings that are flexible and moving beings. Play, dance at home, also in your room. Go outside if you can, and play with your thoughts, your words, and your body, and with movement, everyone.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
Kelly, what would you
I
else?
yeah, I'm coming to believe or sense that in addition to what you just shared, which I wholeheartedly advocate, I think that our body is actually a portal to other dimensions. We have the five senses, which we're familiar with, but we have other senses and sensitivities beyond the five, and it's because of our body. I mean, that is our vehicle to connect with every other thing in the universe. So yeah, the body is the hub of our life.
Yeah, and you pointed out that it's really the center of the energy. You could feel the energy come in and go out, right?
Mhm.
We feel things and coming out. I love the word hub. Yeah,
Well,
it's true. Like in the airplanes, right? They come, the people stay, go out,
right,
in, out, exchange. There's a lot of exchange. Our
yes.
body provides exchange with everything existing.
Mhm.
It's very fine-tuned, sensible. You will notice when you're not in circumstance or an environment or surrounding you shouldn't be, your body knows it right away.
It
It
knows,
moves you away, right? So
right?
become in tune. Don't override your body. That's a Mylene thing. Don't
Mhm.
override your body. If it does something, follow it, and then later become aware why try to perceive what the reason was why certain things happened or didn't happen. Yeah, a portal. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it goes
yeah,
up and down and in every direction. And
every direction. Yes, yes. And you mentioned sleep. I, like you, I require a good amount of sleep, and it is restorative for me. There are some people that function great on 4 or 5 hours a night, and that's fine. Everybody is different, but that's again where you tune in to what does this body require, and allow whatever it is. Don't let 8 hours or somebody say, well, you know what you need,
yeah.
and let that guide.
Yeah,
Uh,
and all that exploration, that curiosity to explore your own body. I think if something we both can give along to you is explore and have fun with it.
yeah,
At the same time, know about the seriousness, because you're capable of doing it. You have the knowledge. We're very wise beings connected to everything. So open up all your multiple portals on your
yeah,
body, right? Because they also have, in a hub, you have how many gates, or your body has all those gates as well. And if I would put together our, I think that's my favorite thing from today. Your body is your hub, and you invite what planes arrive, bring you what kind of
yeah,
passengers,
yes,
and how you want to make those passengers feel while they're at your airport,
right,
right? And how do you send them out again? How do they feel when they go on to the next journey? So you see, you have a lot of influence on everything that comes and goes, and on the design, how beautiful it, what food they get, how people feel when, or beings, or whatever. But let's take that metaphor of the airport, that they're relaxed and that they create with you beauty and collaborate and feel loved.
yes, yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, we're transmitting and receiving stations, kind of like a radio
Mhm.
frequency. Yeah, I mean, there's so many analogies, but yes, I love the airport.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
I love to travel and see the world. So this is really a good one. And I think we all that traveling is desire to travel and to explore the world is in all of us.
Mhm.
So thank you very much, Kelly, for bringing your wisdom, your beautiful energy. Today my words, English words, that's okay sometimes. There's a feeling about you. So maybe I don't have the right word of your vastness, but you're so warm-hearted, and that's what you're bringing everyone who's listening, this inspiration. So everyone synchronize with Kelly, get that information from her, maybe connect with her, learn so much more about her. We just have to get you back on, Kelly, and talk
Okay.
about a new topic. And yes, as you said, we are our best medicine, and we can heal ourselves the best just to believe it. Do you have a final saying, or also maybe please do mention how people could reach you? Do you have like one certain email or a telephone number or website?
Yes, I have an email. It's called advocatewithsolutions@gmail.com.
So everyone, I will write it down in the notes. I'll ask Kelly also to join the Moving to Oneness Facebook group, and I invite you as well to come so that we can keep on that conversation, also create a community of all of us, bringing our knowledge together to co-create, to create beautiful magic and improve on ourselves, on someone else, and on a planet. Thank you very much. This is Mylene with the Moving to Oneness show. Bye bye.